Hey yo guys, Pandy351 here, and yeah, another vent video. Here you go. You get to listen to me talk for a good couple minutes. So as you can see by the title of the video, I've been getting a lot of comments lately about certain people being gone or why certain like major changes to the stories have happened. And I'm doing this without a script, which I really shouldn't have, but I want to be like genuine and open about what's happening. Because this is kind of a big deal. A majority of the actor changes are due to an incident with a previous artist. If you haven't already seen the incident, I won't go into details here because that's not what this is really about. But you can go look on the community tab. Go back like within the last month, or less than a month at this point. I think it's been like a month. But you can go back and you can see kind of a layout of what went down and all that. So yeah, so one of the major changes that have been happening recently is that a lot of the ships got rearranged, and I know that that's been kind of like there's even been some speculation that the editor did it, and actually he did do it because the relationship between the editor, the story writer, and myself, the story writer is the embodiment of me, while the editor is the embodiment of changes that are not necessarily good. But sometimes those changes still have to be made. And the particular reason why this change had to be made is because I was raped. I know a lot of you are going to hear that word and you're going to be like, oh no, whoa, this is baloney. She's talking nonsense. That wouldn't have happened. No. Or even just I'll get people who'll just be like, oh, why are you talking about this or whatnot? And I mean, you don't even have to continue watching the video if you don't want. This is just kind of for me to release this information so that I don't have to get any more comments about the person in particular, as well as just kind of getting to express myself, because while I was with this person, they very much shut down a lot of me and my ability to express myself. So I want to kind of explain when this all started, or started having problems. About a year ago, it was in June. Those of you who have been watching my Twitter for that long, will know that my father was kicked out of the house. He was removed for being violent, emotionally and physically. So, yeah. So he was removed, and I wrote out this long letter. It's like 6 pages, about what he did to me, what was done to me by my father. Even then, there's a lot of details that were left out, but it's kind of a majority of like when he would hit me, how he would abuse me, that kind of stuff. And I sent it to a lot of my closer friends, because I wanted them to read it. I wanted people to read it. I wanted confirmation that what I was doing was good, because I had no idea how to express myself and how to like come out about that kind of stuff, because I've always been told, shush, keep it quiet, don't talk about it. So I wanted to talk about it, and I wanted people who would be there to support me. After that document was given to a bunch of friends, a lot of you will know that there was a large drama that happened during that time. That was a little bit after. lot of people just calling me things that just weren't true, and it very much affected me. But not as much as he did. You see, at that point, I think he had already been down here twice, and both times he would hold me down, and it wasn't safe. Like, I couldn't say no, because he would hurt me, and I didn't want that. But I was so lonely, and I didn't feel like anyone else would ever, care about me or love me, that I just kind of accepted it. that was just what it was gonna be and how it was gonna go. So when the document was released to a bunch of close friends, I gave it to him as well. I had already told him a lot, like, verbally, but, like, the document was very in-depth, and it was very important to me. And he didn't read it. Yeah, getting busy, something like that would have been fine, but he outright told me he wasn't going to read it because it wasn't important. That he already knew everything, so it was fine. And that he was just too lazy to read it. And it was rough, but, I glanced over that. I was just like, oh, that's just who he is. I'll leave that be. It's not a big deal. And I let it go. And the weeks that came following, he started distancing himself. He wouldn't talk to me as much. He wasn't talking to me. I was dealing with this huge mess with my father and trying to learn how to be assertive and how to set healthy boundaries, and he ditched me. And I think the main reason he did is because he knew that I would figure it out eventually of what was happening, and he knew he had already lost me as his sex toy. But basically, he broke up with me. There was no real explanation for it. No real reason. Just that he was done with me. I then spent the next couple weeks feeling completely useless and shattered and whatnot. And I still talked, I talked to him too. Like, I still talked to him because, like, he was like, oh, I want to be friends still. And so I'm like, okay, like, I don't want to completely ditch him. I want to still be friends. So I'm not going to just not talk to him anymore, because then, he won't want to be my friend. And I guess a part of me also hoped that he would give me a second chance. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, really. I mean, I do, but it makes no sense looking back on it. But it was just little stuff like that. And eventually he left the cast. That was that little blip of time where there was a change in voice actors. And then he came back. Because of another incident that happened with another cast member. I had been getting paragraphs upon paragraphs of really creepy love notes. So, yeah, that was great. But he came back after that situation happened, and he took on the roles and everything was fine, but he never showed up to recordings. I had to text him on his cell phone, like, constantly to get him to show up. And even then, he just wouldn't. And it got to the point where, like, I was gonna talk to him, but I didn't feel like it. I wasn't gonna push it. That's when some of the stuff started happening with Star. And me and Kat got very close during that time. And then we started dating, and it was the first recording he came to after me and Kat started dating that he decided to pull me to the side and say that he was quitting again. He made a big deal about how it wasn't, like, it was just he didn't have enough time, or it wasn't this, or it wasn't that. And he made all the excuses you could think of. And at that point, I was just done. I still wanted to be his friend, but obviously he didn't want to be mine. And so I was like, okay, you're gone. Bye. To talk about some of the abuse, I can't speak. I want to talk about some of the abusive behavior that happened as well, that was on set, mainly with building. He was lead builder for a good chunk of time, and he was very controlling of the city and how it was built and stuff. No one else could touch it but him. And then he just kind of stopped working on it. And he made so many steaks about how he just wasn't, like, he wasn't getting help with the building, which then I pushed the builders to go help him. And then all of a sudden he just wasn't motivated to do it. But yet he could work on other, like, he could go work on building other sets. He even made the point that he didn't want to roleplay anymore or any of that. Stuff like that, just constantly. Where he didn't let anyone else touch the city because he built it, but, like, he wasn't working on it. And so it was very difficult. It was very hard. And I don't even remember what... No, actually, I do remember what caused it. We were auditioning a new builder, and when me and him were in a VC talking about the build, he was being extremely rude, extremely disrespectful, just kind of an ass towards the build that we were looking over. I think it was actually Morgan's build at the time. But he was nitpicking everything, stuff that, like, I even was like, yeah, no, that should be there. And so, unlike normal, where I would have Anubis come in the call with the new builder, and then we would discuss things, I went in the call with another cast member at the time, and we talked to Morgan. And that was when he quit being lead builder, because he got pissed off that I didn't want him to be rude, because Morgan is extremely young, and I don't feel that being rude is necessary. I feel that all that does is just discourages creativity. And so I very strongly didn't like how he was acting about it. Some of the other thing, I obviously am very naive when it comes to people. I don't read clues very well. I can look back at a situation and see all the red flags and be like, oh, well, I should have known this was coming. But with Anubis, the flags were kind of obvious. I would talk to my mother about a lot of things, because me and her are very close. And some of the things that Anubis told me, I didn't even tell her because it made me feel weird. I don't know how to describe it, but, and I won't get into the thing I'm thinking about in particular, because that's not something that should be public, not even for his sake, but for the other person. But specifically, I want to talk about his personality, that his other personality called Jackal. He talks about him a lot on streams and stuff. So you've probably heard it at some point. He would say a lot of things that were not really okay, but I had this very I have a very warped sense of reality because I'm abused. I was abused. So it's really hard for me to like connect dots. But he talked a lot about how he wanted to take all his friends to an island, all his female friends, and then he could just have sex with all of them with no other guys. He talked about how Jackal wanted to rape people. Sometimes even minors, sometimes animals. It didn't really matter. Actually, yeah, Jackal made it very clear that he did not care who, what, how old. And I'm not gonna say that isn't like, I'm not gonna sit here and argue whether the personality is real or not. However, Anubis is fully aware of the thoughts of this other personality and has yet to do anything about it. Like, he's just like, oh, because I don't act on it. But, like, he's very open about that. And I guess, considering that it was really early on in our relationship, I kind of should have got the hint on that. But, there were a lot of times where, when he was over here, especially, I would tell him no. And he would touch me, to the point where all the dopamine gets injected into your system and brain goes burr, and it made it very hard to think. And it's not like it's hard, right? Because I did say yes, but I was scared. I was scared that he would hurt me. There were times where he would intentionally get the hormones running so he could do things to me. It was a very difficult situation because there are people around me who have been raped, who have had it way worse than I have. And so I tend to, what's the term? I don't know exactly what word I'm looking for, but I tend to like, what is the word? I'm getting emotional. I tend to like talk down a lot on situations, and I tend to like kind of make them seem minor when they're not. Kind of like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. This is fine, when really it's just not. Downplay. I tend to downplay what I'm going through and what I've been through. Thankfully, I'm going to be seeing a new therapist soon. I actually just got a call from them today, so I'll call back probably tomorrow. Although I'll have recorded this like months, like not months, like a week earlier or so. I don't know when this will be posted. I was kind of waiting until I got my plushie back because I want to make sure she's safe. Speaking of which, that's another thing. After we broke up, after he broke up with me, not we, he broke up with me, I requested for a plushie back that I had given to him in confidence. And he said he would, and then time passed, and he didn't. And so I did get frustrated. I got very frustrated and very upset because this plushie means a lot to me. It was a plushie I got for saving up points, basically, at my church for like paying attention and remembering verses and stuff. And that was really hard for me as a kid. So I spent probably way more years than any of the other kids ever did saving up for that plushie. So that plushie has a really large sentimental value, which is why I gave it to him in confidence. But it was very upsetting when I wasn't getting it back or I wasn't hearing anything. So I started getting very agitated, very angry about it. And he decided he wasn't going to send it because I was being rude to him. So the only reason I actually have I'm getting the plushie back now is because I contacted his mother and talked to her in hopes of getting the plushie back. I didn't explain anything. I just basically was like, hey, he has my plush. I want it back. It means a lot to me, please. So, it's the only reason I got it back. Which is really sad. But I'll be glad when I have her. I'll probably have to wash her because she'll probably be stinky. Stinky with the boy smells. But yeah. I think it's even funnier because I mentioned in a tweet that he had abused me. Because up until that point, I just said that I was being abused. I didn't even say I was being raped. And then I had a conversation with a really good friend of mine. And basically, I explained everything in a bit more graphic detail of what happened. And then he apologized for me being raped. And it kind of then dawned on me that was what happened. I tend to do that a lot. Even to the point of where my last therapist, I really didn't talk about some of the PTSD issues I had because I'm just so used to saying everything's fine. that was something I was conditioned. Just everything's fine. Everything's okay. Nothing's wrong. When it's really not okay and there's so much wrong. But I don't know how to like express that or word it because I was never really taught how to. So I'm hoping that with this new therapist I can be a bit more, or at least be a bit more open. Or at least try to discover like what the different responses are to certain things and stuff. So I am seeking a counselor. So I am getting help. Because I can't mentally handle the stress anymore. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say here. Just honestly, like, I'm not even doing this, like, to get him canceled or anything, because I just don't care. I'm just kind of... I've had several people still refer to him as my boyfriend. I've had comments asking where he is. I get all sorts of wacky stuff where people ask me about what happened with Goldie and Pandy. Because Goldie did make a sudden change, and I'll admit to that. There could have been a much smoother way of doing that. But honestly, the memories of being with him was too much. And I couldn't take it anymore. Which is why there was the chip change. honestly, I'm just really glad that I have Kat now. She's been really amazing and super helpful and great. I'm really glad that I have someone I can actually rely on to talk to. Because a lot of my shit got blown off before, so it's nice being heard. It's nice that someone cares enough to like defend me and such. So yeah, it's kind of about it. I just kind of wanted to like get that out there and get it off my chest, because it's been really hard. I've been dealing with a lot of depression and stuff, and the comments are not helpful. Not that anyone's at fault. No one knew, but it's just I want to be able to have something to express what happened to me and why it hurts so much seeing the comments. I mean, it's an uncomfortable topic, so I do understand like people ignoring it, but I feel like this is important. There are too many scenarios where I've stayed quiet and I've not said anything, and other people have gotten hurt because of it, and I don't feel that that's right or okay anymore. It's up to you on what you want to believe, I guess. You don't have to believe me. This video is not about, like I said, it's not about canceling or anything. It's literally just I want these feelings off my chest. I want to be able to express how I feel. And for some reason, me talking to no one through videos seems to actually be really helpful. Plus the comments on the last few, you all have been really supportive. It means a lot to me. And just all that, but I guess more or less, like I said, this video is not like meant to be like oh, he's bad, go attack him, because that's not who I am. I don't really like my when I feel like someone's done something wrong, I feel like attacking them doesn't do anything. Usually silence is kind of the best. But that's just me personally. I don't like there are different kinds of ways to go about that, but that's irrelevant. But it's not, this isn't really necessarily like, oh, I want you to believe me, because I don't care if you do. I don't care if you don't. That's not necessarily what matters to me. What matters to me is that my story is heard. And you can take what information you want from what I've said. And I guess, choose what you believe on your own. I would show proof of what happened, but obviously, I can't. Which is kind of why I know that this is gonna get a lot of not flash, what was I trying to say there? Is gonna get a lot of, hate and response to it. Because a lot of people are just gonna assume that I'm just making stuff up, which is, like I said, is fine. It's up to you what you believe, and you decide. I'm just doing my best to get over this whole situation. So, that's about it, I guess. Anyways, thank you for listening, I guess. I would say, hope you enjoy, but I don't think that this is necessarily an enjoyable video. But hey, thank you for listening, I guess. Listening to me ramble and talk. I want to try to make more of these. Not like a lot, but just like every once in a while. 'Cause I feel like even just updating you guys on stuff, just how things are going, would be nice. Gives me a place to vent that I don't feel as judged, because once I post the video, then it's there, and I don't feel judged while saying it, which I think is my problem with like therapists and stuff. But yeah. So thank you all so much for watching. I guess TTFN.